works. Preparing live stream webinar. Okay, it wasn't instant like I thought, so it'll take a second. I assume there's also another button that's like go or something, but we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Well, it's saying here webinar is now live streaming on YouTube.
Oh, it's good to go. Okay.
Let me check on YouTube.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 10K on the Bay, my journey to 10,000 live listings. Today we're going to try something interesting. Whoops, I got to turn that off. Okay, now we're ready to go. So guys, we have an awesome show for you guys, which is going to be involving the admins of the Facebook group, the Reseller fam, and also a few members of my mastermind. It's going to be a really, really sweet call today. We're going to go over the reason that we resell and give a quick introduction to everybody, because I think it's important for you guys to realize or to start to recognize and know who the actual admins are of the Facebook group and why we resell. So I'll go ahead and jump on it first. My name is Chris. On YouTube, I'm 10K on the Bay. The reason why I resell is because I'm trying to build a business that's location independent and with no income ceiling. So I feel like if I can hire people to help me list, ship, and purchase, then I will be able to have a business. It's not going to be passive income, not expecting it to be, but I'm looking to build a company with no ceiling, and I'm super, super excited. I love talking to people and building this community and helping people build their ideal eBay business. So let's start with Noelle. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you resell?
Okay, I'm unmuted. My name is Noelle, and I've always been a thrifter. I grew up thrifting with my sister, who's down in the corner.
Hey.
Joel. So we grew up thrifting and found that it's pretty lucrative to flip those items on eBay, and it was also a great way to stay home with my kids and work when they were sleeping. They're now in school, so it's pretty easy to do this job while they're in school and still be able to go on field trips and be there for school pickup and drop off and still contribute to the income.
Awesome. And you're also one of the admins. We'll start with the admins on this group first. Gwen, why don't you go next?
Okay, so about a little over a year ago, I had a full-time job and I was looking for a way to go on vacation to go to Hawaii, because even though I made really good money, cost of living was kind of high, so I wasn't really seeing very much of that. And I was like, I need a vacation. Work is stressful. So I jumped on Poshmark and started selling and realized quickly I could make a bunch of money pretty easily on the side, and went to Hawaii and then decided I would use it to pay my student loan, never thinking it would be anything more than that. Because I don't like paying my student loan out of like my check. I thought it was like easier if it just came from somewhere else. And since I was really good at thrifting, I used to just do vintage and realized like, oh, you could sell regular clothing too. So I switched to that, and then I loved it so much that I just quit my job a couple months ago and went full time. And I love that I can resell and I can do pretty much whatever I want. So no one's in control of my time. No one tells me when I, have to go to lunch, when I have to be back. Like, I can go on vacation, I can take a day off, I can take a weekend off. No one tells me what to do. So it's total freedom for me.
That's true. That's awesome. Joel, you want to go next?
Sure. I restarted selling back in 2005, I think. And it was just a part-time hobby that really started from when Noelle and I were kids. Our dad loved going to thrift stores back before Poppin' Tags was cool. And he always dragged me and Noelle around with him. And when we would go anywhere, let's say we were going to grandma's house, if there was a thrift store, we would stop and go in. If there was a garage sale, we would stop and go in. If there was a flea market, we'd stop and go in. So a 20-minute trip usually took like 2 hours. And Noelle and I would get so annoyed and hope that nobody would see us going in or out of that with our dad. And then slowly, very slowly, we figured out that he was finding some really cool stuff and some really nice stuff. And it was the only way that we got nice, name brand clothing. And eventually, probably more into adulthood, we figured like well, he really had a thing going. So we started liking it too. We first started out reselling our own stuff. And then he died back in 2000 something. And Noelle and I really just then decided that it would be really cool to just make reselling a thing, like make a career out of it and make money doing it. And, kind of give homage to him for that. Like, look, what we turned what you love doing into a career. And then I kept having kids. So my progress wasn't that fast, but Betsy's going to be 4 in November and she's going to preschool this fall. So I'm really, I've been hitting it like hard every chance I get, but it's hard with 3 kids and my husband's a pilot and gone 4 days a week. And, but now that everyone's going to be in school in the fall, I'm going to hit it hard. And that's it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think this is one of the jobs that you can actually have some flexibility with kids. And most of my following is young female moms. So you've got to step it up and show these moms how to do it. So Ashley, what's going on? You have some of your own.
There we go. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I started doing this because I have an addiction to thrift stores, much like Noelle and Helene's dad. And my husband was like, if you fill our house with more shit, you're going to end up divorced. So that's how I decided that I was looking for a sign, and I went to the bins and pulled out brand new Lululemon shorts. Only time it's ever happened, especially in Indianapolis. And I was like, it's a sign. I'm going to start selling on eBay. And it turns out that I love it and it's super fun. And that's and I do it because, one, I like a little bit of extra income, and my husband is addicted to working for tech startups. So I like the fact that I have a stable income that can go anywhere for when he wants to move to work for a new startup. It gives us a little bit of stability. It's kind of nice.
That's true. Love that flexibility. And our last admin, Lexi, what's going on?
Hey, everybody. So I started reselling, or in a roundabout way. I started couponing because of that show, Extreme Couponers, and I've always really loved to shop. And surprisingly, Instagram led me to the reselling community. And I decided, wait a second, if I can coupon, I'm great at shopping. I bet I can resell. So that's kind of how I started. Couponing is the gateway drug to reselling. And I really enjoy being able to use my reselling to supplement my full-time job so that I don't have to be gone. I travel 3 days a week. I didn't want to travel 5 or 6 days a week. So this is a great stepping stone between my full-time job and then just sitting at home and not doing anything. And it really helps me get out there and travel for personal. So that's why I resell.
Awesome. That is super cool. Guys, these are the 6 admins of the Facebook group, the Reseller Fam. If you haven't joined, get on there. Every week on Sunday, we're going to be doing this show and going over a specific topic. And in the admins, especially Gwen, she actually knows how to teach people. So this is going to be amazing. We'll get a lot more content and some more official instruction with you guys. And then after we have the instruction, we'll hang out and just talk about questions that people have so you can have the immediate access. The other people on the call are people from my mastermind. So we'll just go straight into this and you can share why you resell. Let's start with Hustle Be Ken. Why do you resell?
I resell because I hate working. It's not really I hate. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 16, born and raised in the Philippines. Moved here 4 years ago. I had to get a job because that's what everybody said. It was kind of hard to get a business going. So took a job, quit a job, actually about almost a year. Went on a vacation, stayed in a beach house, and I said I never want to go back to a job again. So as soon as I got back from my work, I quit. I walked out, and there was no 2-week notice. I just quit. So I just love the hustle. I guess it's just in me. I think everybody likes stability. I don't like stability. I love the ability to be able to move whenever I want to, go whenever I want to, do whatever when I want to. And just, there's no ceiling in what we do, just like you said. So that's why I do reselling. It's basically just selling, is having a business. and it's the business that has the least overhead, and that's what I love. I'm running it outside my 2-bedroom apartment and making a decent income. So that's why I resell.
And guys, I just want to point out how awesome it is that Ken has over $100,000 worth of stuff listed. And so that's amazing to get to the point where you have that much stuff online available for sale, and it makes things a lot more stable. So let's go into Frank. Frank, why do you resell?
Hey guys, I started for fun, you know. I mean my parents were entrepreneurs. They both ran businesses. It's in my blood. And I did the whole service industry thing. I was a web designer for years, and you still weren't you were your own boss, but you're still at the beck and call of the people you worked for and made these sites for, and it started really stressing me out a lot. So I kind of stumbled into this, started selling stuff. My first flip was when I was like 18 or whatever. I started buying stuff on Yahoo auctions and selling it on eBay back in the day. And I stopped for years, but it was always in me. I did it here and there. And then I had an opportunity to jump in it seriously. And I was so ready to get out of web design. So I like jumped in feet first and was full-time within like just a few months. And now it evolved into something where it's it molded to my lifestyle in a way where, you know, working out of your home, I take care of my son. My wife works full-time. It's great. So that's my why.
Sounds good. Brenton, thanks for joining us. Why do you resell?
Mute myself here. So I've been on eBay since like 2001. I've really been active for like the past maybe 2 years. It started as car parts just to kind of get space going in my garage so I could work on cars, which turned into making money off of that. And then kind of at the beginning of this year, or in April or May, I discovered your videos and realized that clothing was an option to sell, which I didn't really think was possible. I'd never looked into it. And I've always had like a thing for thrift stores and buying fur coats as a kid and whatnot, and just loading up on weird thrifty gear and stuff. So I started selling clothes, and then just have been following your videos, and moved to Chicago recently, and I'm working with a startup company. So my income isn't very consistent with them. It's more of an equity-based thing. So I was looking for something to do in my free time, which is kind of sporadic. So this has kind of worked out for that. And I'm looking to make this more of a full-time income.
I think that's great. There's so many people who like, you know, take public transportation and list on their way. They have kids at the playground they're listing or taking photographs. And this is something you can break up into different parts of the day, which is one awesome part of eBay. So let's go into Mo. And I just want to give Mo a special shout out because he introduced me to the Goodwill outlet, and I found the Apple shoes that eventually will sell to someone at some point with him. So Mo's awesome, and I know him locally as well. Mo, why do you resell?
Thanks, Chris. Couple reasons. Mainly because I want to go full-time eventually. I'm still part-time. I run a shipping store, and I really don't want to do that because you're stuck in one place. Number two, actually, is probably my first reason, is my kids. Having little ones, having the scheduling issues that anyone with kids knows about. Because my wife works full-time. She has a really rigid schedule. So those are my whys. Just basically freedom.
Awesome. So let's go. Jody, are you ready? Do you want to tell us why do you resell? I'll unmute you. Go ahead.
I resell because, well, I got into it because I went to a swap meet and I loved it. And my friend said, well, you know, you could make money selling this stuff. And I tried doing that. And soon it was taking up too much space in my apartment because I was selling vintage items. And then I moved into a smaller space, and he said, well, you know, clothing takes up less space. So I started selling clothing. And I love the flexibility of it. And just, I love shopping. It's fun. And it's also fun knowing that it's not a waste of my money. I'm just going to turn around and sell it. And sometimes I can even wear it first. Why else do I do this? I guess that's those are the main reasons. It's like modern day treasure hunting. So it's exciting when you're shopping. It's exciting when it sells. The in between is the most difficult, but that's flexible as well. You can do it whenever you want.
For sure. Sounds good. So, Mike, you ready? Let me unmute you. Why do you resell?
What's up, everyone? I sold on eBay I would say like 5 to 6 years ago. And at the time, it was really like a lot of the stuff that I had already. It was just getting rid of old stuff, kind of like recycling. I remember the first thing I ever sold on eBay was a pair of Jordan Retro 7s that I had bought on sale, and I wore them for 2 years, and I sold them to some kid in France for like almost 100. So I knew right away that you could sell used goods, but it was still a few years before I ever attempted to like go out and purchase something and then flip it. And then fast forward, I was working like 60 hours a week doing maintenance at a public school on the east side of Flint. So it kind of sucked. Like the job, it was rough. I had one little one. My oldest was 1, and we had one coming. And I also, at the same time, I had a cousin that used to, work for a living, and then he left and was self-employed, and he did a lot on eBay. So I knew that other people were doing that in the area. So I decided to make a game out of it, and I took $20 and went to a Goodwill, and I think I bought 5 shirts. Started there and like bankrolled my money, and for the first 6 months my gross sales grew each month. And within like a couple months I was dreaming, like, I wonder if I could do this full time. I hate my job. I want the flexibility. I want to be home with my kids. And I set what I thought at the time was lofty goals. I was like, well, if I keep growing by 30% a month, by next June, when summer comes around, I'll do like $2,000 a month. And it seemed so far-fetched. And then I did it, and it kept growing. So then I set the goal of like wanting to leave my job. And I ended up breaking my hand in a bicycle accident at a skate park. And I couldn't do any of my work at my job. So I was kind of forced into a medical leave, but this wasn't a fancy job. Like I wasn't getting paid or anything. So I was forced to try, and I never went back. So since then, I want to build like a business. I would love the idea of having a business that's independent of location. At the time, my business model right now doesn't really work with that, but definitely want to build a business. I want the freedom to be like at home with my kids, to travel, do, all that stuff. And I like the challenge. I like learning the skills it takes to like grow the business and, run a large inventory and all that. So, and the treasure hunt. I love the treasure hunt. I love thrifting. In the process, somewhere along the lines, like I stopped paying retail for anything. So, but that's how I got started. And that's why I sell on eBay.
Awesome. One more introduction for tonight. Nicholas, you're out there on the road. What's going on? Why do you resell?
Hey, everybody. My name is Nicholas. And, the good question is, why do I resell? Why not? I mean, I'm going to throw that back and say, I've been doing eBay since 2001, and we built up a pretty decent business doing sporting goods. And my niche is in the not in the live, but my niche in eBay is in fly fishing flies and stuff. So now I'm looking for vending machine parts, because the other part of our business is in vending machines. So now I'm just salvaging and scavenging for vending machine parts. I think it's where our profit margin is. And there's a need for it. It's like old card parts. I heard somebody talking about cars and stuff. The junkyard is full of eBay possible items. So
Sounds good. Okay, so I am going to, sorry to kind of cut you off, but as far as this call goes, guys, I think one thing that we can all relate to as resellers is a lot of the job you're on your own. You're solo. You're out there hunting by yourself, or potentially listing by yourself or shipping. Is a lot of, our community spends a lot of time on their own. So it's nice, creating. I've done now a few listing parties with other resellers where we meet in the same place and list. I was thinking about maybe creating a meetup group called Shut Up and List, and you just go somewhere and you're not allowed to do anything except for list, and you keep each other accountable. And it's fun to get together, talk about reselling, talk about fines, talk about, challenges, talk about annoying customers, or talk about how great customers are. Whatever you want to do, make sure that your surroundings are positive. So we're going to move into today we're going to talk a little bit more about experiences, but normally on this call we are going to have an actual class. But I want everyone on the call today to share one experience that happened in the last week. And I'll start it off with sometimes I get a little bit annoyed with customers when they lowball me, and I'll counter back something like, if I'm offering $19.99 and someone offers me $1 free shipping, I may counter back $19.98 or like 1 cent cheaper or something, because I am taking sort of that offer personally. And I actually sent somebody like, that offer is the worst offer. I messaged them that, which is very immature, and I will not do that again. But they actually responded back. I didn't mean to be rude, and they made me a much higher offer. So ended up working, but I don't recommend doing that. Don't be rude to your customers. And if you have an issue, I recommend just reaching out to somebody in the community instead of taking it out at your customer. So I'm going to mix up the order here, and let's start with Hustlebee. Hustlebee, let's talk about one thing that happened this week to you as a reseller.
Well, one thing that happened to me this week is I spend more time sourcing. So I always travel, I drive far, and then we went to this city, and this city was really nice. Back, I've sourced in this city twice already, and the city was always good. And we stayed overnight there. Me and my wife went, and we only found like 30 pairs of shoes. So I was like, man, this is not what I want. The last couple of times when I go sourcing outside of the city, I always try to bring 100 pairs of shoes. So that was only 30%. So I was like, that's fine. That was one of the downside of what I do. There's so much, chances of failing or not finding anything based on the criteria that I'm looking for is very high. But at the end of the day, it's a law of averaging. The more you go, the more you find stuff. Then on my way back, I was like, let's just stop at one more store. And then we stopped at one more store, and that store had a moving sale, 50% off on everything. So I literally bought like 30 pairs in that store, which was, profit wise, could have been like almost 70 pairs as far as profit wise. So I came home that night, 11. So, we were up to 60 pairs and stuff like that. The next day, I woke up early. I told my wife, I just need to go someplace else. I just need to find more stuff. And I went, and then I found 20 more high-end pairs of soccer cleats that would average me $80 to $100 in profit per item. So it kind of was annoying, but one thing that I love again about reselling is, about eBay, the effort you're gonna put in is gonna be the amount of success that you're gonna get. So that's one of my big learning experiences this week, as far as just being persistent and not giving up. Although it gets annoying spending 2 days someplace else and not getting the things that you wanted, that you expected. But you just have to dig deep and grind harder the next day, and and you will get it. You will definitely get it, 100%.
I think that's interesting. As far as profit margin, this is something I learned from Ken. Since I basically increased my minimum profit to $20, and because of that, from 10, I now don't have any unlisted items. Because you find a lot less items that meet your criteria, but you don't have a death pile if you do that. And if you're Ken and your minimum profit is $40, you can imagine he can be shopping all day just to find a couple of items. So
Right.
definitely. Let's jump to Nicholas. Do you want to share something from this week?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, you're talking about customers. I deal with a different breed of customers, which is mostly fishermen, and I think my age group of customers is between 40 and Jesus walked the earth type old, and so I get a lot of customers that will say, "Hey, how about I give you X amount of dollars for that?" You know, like, and I don't have a buy it or have a best offer on a lot of my products, but so they're always doing that, and it just gets so annoying, you know, to deal with that, because you know that, at least I know that a lot of these customers that do like saltwater fishing for my products, they have boats that are $500,000 boats that they take out there in the big sea, and they want to nickel and dime me for, you know, for nothing, and it's so annoying for that. But you know, they pay the bills, so I'll play with them for a little bit, you know. So
That's true. There's so many bread and butter items we can find that pay the bills and aren't necessarily fun. But then once in a while, if we are treasure hunting, we will find something pretty amazing. Why don't we go next to Frank?
Hey, so I'm thinking like, what? I got a lot going on, and I think what I will share is the importance of time management. Like, I'm really realizing I've had in the past times where I would schedule every hour, and those probably the most productive times in my life. And I feel like I need to go back to that, because if you really, you know, that's what I love about the whole mastermind and Chris, and you know, I'm in a mastermind with Ken too, and I've learned so much. And one thing I'm learning is, if you really want to maximize your own efficiency and just do the most yourself, you really need to start scheduling stuff out. So yeah, I really need to do that. And you know, it's a group like this is awesome too, because it helps keep you accountable when you're doing stuff. You know, you're sharing your goals, and it just, you know, I look forward to, I have the Monday morning, I look forward to it, you know, to share what happened through the week and my wins and losses. And it keeps me thinking about it throughout the week, and it just keeps you sharp. So time management is so important. And
Frank, don't you have 50,000 feedback?
No, I have 7,200. Most of it was from Pokemon cards last year.
That's true.
Yeah.
Frank sold a lot of stuff, guys. Let's go to Gwen. Gwen, you look like you have something very cool to share from this week.
No, it's really like a combination of everything. I think I'm just really honing in on what I need to do, and I have a bit of a shopping problem. So I really took a look at my inventory and said, okay, you got to get this under control, because I'm going to be doing a big sourcing trip in a couple weeks, and I wouldn't feel good about sourcing when I have like 200 items unlisted. So I went through and photographed a ton of them, and we got everything ready, and I listed about half. So I feel like I've really done a lot of work on that. And I just realized that I'm sitting on piles of money, like, and some of the stuff I had even forgotten I bought. So really just taking a look at my business and saying, like, is this the right thing for me to be doing, going shopping, even though I did go shopping last night, but I only bought like a handful of stuff, and it was high dollar items. So when I am shopping now, I'm really thinking about my profit and just thinking, how can I, you know, do less work, but make more money? And I think that's really kind of been eye-opening for me this week.
I love when I find an unlisted bar of gold and I'm like, oh yes, I remember this. I don't know why I didn't list it sooner. Let's go with Ashley, who's Kevin on the chat, but she's not Kevin in real life.
Yeah, sorry, it won't change. I put my own name in and typed it and like reinstalled Zoom, and it still won't change from Kevin. Apparently, I'm just stuck with it for life. So this week, I haven't done a lot of reselling. I've been trying to hire a nanny because the whole 1-year-old and 3-year-old thing just isn't panning out with time scheduling, and I have been struggling to find a nanny and that I can have for 1 or 2 days a week. And that's basically what I've been learning this week, is how hard it is to hire a nanny when you don't have one that lives 3 doors down, because that's what I did all summer. And I, basically the mom thing and figuring out how to list with my kid. I started doing all clotheslining a couple weeks ago because I can wear my 1-year-old who's a crying mess. And that's pretty much what my whole focus has been this week. And then just trying to get a couple things listed every day.
I think that's super important. Trying to get a schedule in place, and then also with kids, it's definitely extremely challenging. Also, last week I had the show with the 14-year-old that has her own store, so we can put your kids to work soon, and they can have their own eBay stores and help out, which should be
only another 11 years.
That's right, only another 11 years. Let's go with Mo next. Mo, do you have something to share from this week?
Yeah, mine's about not getting carried away. I think I posted this in our mastermind group actually. I had a guy that bought a vintage video game, and it shipped all the way out to Israel. He got it. He said it's great, but it looks like it's not new. And then I think Chris's response is just refund it, forget about it. So that's what I did. I just refunded immediately. And then 2 seconds or 2 minutes later, he responded by leaving me a positive feedback. And then he asked for a partial refund. And then 2 minutes after that, he responded saying, you don't have to give me a partial refund if you don't want to. And that was it. It's the weirdest thing, but that was it.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I think that not battling customers is great. I think I would develop a drinking problem if I had to battle every single one of my customers. Just refund and move on.
Exactly.
So let's go to Mike. What happened this last week? You have something to share?
Nothing crazy. Sales are picking back up. I'm finally in the green again. Getting back into a better listing schedule. I really kind of took my extra time this month or this week, getting my garage in order and preparing for Q3 and 4, because I have hectic days already, and sometimes Mondays are crazy just shipping out the sales I'm doing now. And so I know that the way I'm handling things right now won't cut it for, Q3 and 4. So I set up the shelves that I bought, and then I ended up ordering some new ones. And they were on sale, the ones that you were talking about, and I really like those, and they're a lot bigger. So I got those set up, and just I switched all my inventory system over to the clothespins, which I'm really digging. And I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do with shoes right now, because I probably have 300 pairs of shoes, and I don't put those in the bins. When I started off, I just bought shoe racks that held 50 pair a piece. And I think I have 4 or 5 of those now, but it's not working. I mean, it just takes too long to pull shoes. So I've been trying to figure out, some way to inventory and deal with shoes. I have a couple ideas, so I'll be playing with that this week.
I do the same system, but with 12 in each bin. So it may not be the best system, but I'm toying with that as well, because I do want 1/3 of my 10,000 items to be shoes. Also, one more thing, guys, with a shelving system, it helps you visualize how big your ideal store is. So if you figure out how many items you can put in one bin and one area, and I know Hustle Bee switching potentially to a shelving system, maybe not, because I have seen people who stack boxes all the way to the ceiling, which is perfectly fine. You don't need shelves for shoes, but getting an idea of visualizing what you want your store to look like with the space you have, you would be surprised how many items you can fit in your store. Shout out to Tino, the Soul Advisor. He can fit 3,500 shoes in a 2-car garage with plenty of room to walk around and pick. So you have more space than you think usually. And then a lot of the space that people don't normally take advantage of is the vertical space. Let's go to Noel.
Pre-packing would be good too, Chris.
Yeah, pre-packing is good.
Okay, I just went and got a prop for mine because I could not figure out what this was for the life of me, and it's shaped like a bike seat, so I kept searching bike. It's LL Bean, and I was like, LL Bean bike cross body bag, and then I was like, did people carry their bike seats around in a bag? I really honestly thought I was the queen of research and could find anything anytime I was stumped, but this one stumped me. And I just recommend having a group of people that you can connect with and ask the really stupid questions like, what in the world is this? and my sweet friend Gwen knew what it was, and it's a camera bag, which probably everyone watching is like, yeah, no duh. But I couldn't see it as a camera bag. I saw it as a bike seat bag. So thank you, Gwen. And that's what happened to me this week.
Noelle, I thought the same thing when you held it up. I'm just going to throw it out there. I was like, why does she have a bike seat bag?
I know, right? Thanks. I appreciate it.
Wasn't just you.
That is not what I thought it was. Just saying.
We won't say what she thought it was.
And I immediately saw it and was like, oh, it's for a camera.
And Gwen, that's why you're the one who teaches most things. And we're the one in the background giggling.
Because that makes more sense.
Jodine, do you have something to share from this week?
Yeah, I discovered that a lot of people copied my pictures in their things and my descriptions, which I took as a compliment, but at the same time, I worked really hard for those listings, and I didn't think it was fair that they profit from my hard work. So I filed several claims to eBay, and they still haven't taken those listings down. It's been like 4 days, and I was just getting really annoyed. So I finally just decided to contact the sellers directly. And I told them that what they were doing was violating eBay policy, and that if they didn't take the listings down, I would report them for, property rights infringement. And they responded immediately. So I was happy about that. They changed their pictures, and I don't have to worry about them anymore.
Wow, that is surprising that they did anything. I feel like if I was gonna steal someone's photos, I wouldn't ignore that. But that's great that you reached out and that actually worked. So I think it's important to realize how big eBay is with 1 billion listings. So taking action on your own is great because they may not get to it for I don't know how long it takes to respond to their customer queue. I'm sure it's ridiculous.
They don't when it comes to that property something stealing photos. My photos are all over eBay, and the sad part is they even undercut me.
Wow, and that's terrible. Take your photos, list them for less.
Yeah.
You guys may consider in your categories to watermark as well, but of course it doesn't matter if they undercut you. So then it's just really like a predatory environment. Not so good. That is one thing that is better about Amazon. Let's go with Sean. Sean, we didn't get an introduction, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe something that happened this week. I'm going to unmute you. Oh, we can't hear you. Okay, we'll skip. Who has not gone? Joel? Sweet. So yeah, share something from this week, please.
So many things happened this week. I don't know where to start. I think the biggest, I'm treating this fall like my New Year's. I have 657 fall year's resolutions. And the biggest one that I've realized this week, I think I posted about it on Instagram, but I'm going to say it again anyway. I'm realizing that the $10 sales don't work for me. I don't have the volume to make it work. And so the past few weeks, I've been only sourcing listing items that will give me $20, $25 or higher profit margin. And I'm so much happier when I hear a cha-ching and it's $85 than $6 cha-chings. Because I just don't have the volume. I can't do that right now with my life. Like I have 3 kids, all kinds of different ages, and a traveling husband. So, when I can list, it's, I need to maximize my time. And I'm realizing that for me, I really have to have a higher profit margin. So I've been taking that and kind of weeding out the lower items, and I've been putting them into lots and selling them in different places. And I'm just reorganizing my life. I got a paper planner I'm putting everything in my paper planner. I'm putting everything in my phone. I cleaned out all of my closets. I moved my office to the basement. I'm just purging everything and reorganizing everything. And I feel like I'm starting September like it's January 1st.
Sounds good.
But
I think
I'm
we
excited.
should all operate on a 90-day year. A year is too long, and people just don't really do things that long. So a 90-day year works better for me. And then, then if I screw up, I have 3 more tries. Instead of just,
90-day
Exactly.
Instead of
They do it
February 1st being like, well, this year's over. So that's not the way to do it. I like shorter years because they're easier to stay on track. Honors are great. I think that I want my motto to be show up on time, just for my personal motto, because I think it's important. If you show up on time for yourself, then you'll get all your stuff that you need to get done. And that definitely does help. Also, with the higher average sale price per item, if you have a fixed amount of time to do eBay, I think that's very important to realize.
Yes.
And also, one more tidbit is people way underestimate how much they can do over time, and they way overestimate what they can do in the short term. So don't have 100 things that you want to do. Just do 1 or 2 things, and then over and over again. That's the whole point of all these calls and all the mastermind groups, is to make progress every single week instead of worrying about the future or some arbitrary goal. Just think about what you can do this week with what you have.
I overestimate everything all the time. And that's another thing on my to-do list, is to quit thinking have 60 hours in a day.
That's right. And that's Mark Cuban's best advice, is just try to be honest with yourself. Most people lie to themselves about where they're actually at or where they're going, and that's not a good thing. So why don't we go with Lexi? Did you share something from this week yet?
I did not. So
Okay.
this whole week, if you're not following me on Instagram, which most of the people on here probably are not, I had surgery at the beginning of this week. So it's been a very slow week and I can't drive myself. So there's been no sourcing. So I decided I was going to start tackling my death piles. And I have to admit, my death piles are more like a death mountain. So it's just been a really fun week discovering all of the really, really, really nice stuff that I have sitting in tubs waiting to list. And I've just been trying to hustle through as much of that as I can, in between taking way more naps than I ever expected to take. So it's been productive, but I'm not out there sourcing like I'd like to be. But sometimes it's really nice to have a good relaxing week to just catch up on everything that you're behind on.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's whenever you take a week off a listing, you just realize how much stuff that you have. Also, something that I want to share, which is interesting. Lexi and I live in the same area, and my photographer has unused time. So meaning that if you live in the same area as other resellers like I do, you can, or like actually like everyone on this call, but you need to find them. You can actually share resources. You could share a drafter or a photographer, or some people are really advanced and have sourcers for them, and you could share that as well, because some people in their particular area, they may have a lot of wholesale or a lot of liquidation or a lot of closeout, and they can't buy all of it. And that seems to happen as people graduate in larger operations. They start to need staff, but not necessarily can they afford a full-time person or a part-time person. But if a few resellers pool together, you can share one ambitious person. So who hasn't gone yet? So I can, okay, Brenton, let's go for it. Why don't you share something that happened this week?
So this week I set a new record, actually, for personal record for listings in a day. I got 60 pieces of clothing up in a day, which was cool. But I was running about 50 7-day auctions last 2 weeks ago, I guess. And last Sunday, like maybe 10 or 12 of them sold, which I didn't really expect all of them to sell. I was trying to just get rid of a lot of old inventory. But I had like 6 or 7 unpaid. And I don't really know what to do in those situations because there's such cheap items. Like I'm running 99-cent auctions with like $5 or $6 shipping on some of them. And I have a few people that are messaging me like really incoherent things. Like, I didn't even know I placed a bet on this item. Like, doesn't make any sense. And I had one guy that actually said that to me, bought 2 of the auctions. And it's like, I didn't even know I bet on it. It's like, you're not betting for one thing, but 2, you did it on 2 different items. So I'm running into those things, which I've never really encountered this week. So yeah.
That's one thing that I think all of us know. The cheaper the item, the more likely the unpaid, and the more likely you're going to get a negative, and the more likely you're to get a return. Almost in all categories, the higher the customer, they're also less likely to leave feedback. So if we can all get into the $30 plus range, I mean, it's not doable for everybody, but if you're in the $30 to $40 plus range, average sale price, you're going to have a lot less returns, a lot less unpaid, and a lot more serious buyers. That's just as like the case of how it works from what we've heard from people reselling. Let's see and also we have the hurricane going on, guys. So shout out to people suffering with those. We wish you the best, and our prayers are with you. There's a lot going on. So be fortunate if you're in an area where you can list. You never know what's going to happen. Let's see if you guys have any questions in the chat, go ahead and throw them in there, and we will get to it. It's pretty interesting to have this large of a panel. Does anybody have anything that they want to share? Whoa, really?
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know if this is a noob question or not.
Let's do it.
The GB or GD, what is the global pricing? I started using InkFrog, and I saw it's a checkbox. I never used it on eBay, but it says there's fees associated with that. Is that something that everyone uses, or is that a stupid thing? Or
I think it's for international visibility. If you click the global shipping program, I think that's all built into the extra shipping cost. But then somebody told me that's not correct, and there is additional fees for having UK visibility. It is something you can check.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but the person that messaged me told me that their sales went up after paying for that more visibility on all their listings. They ended up selling a few more items internationally because it's exposed. But I assumed that when you set it up on global shipping program and allow worldwide, aren't you already including everybody? But I don't know, because there's still, you can have the global shipping program and you can still have that checkbox.
Huh.
So
I didn't even think about that, Chris.
Sure. Let's see. Any sourcing tips from Mike? Okay, so Mike, we have a specific sourcing question in your area. I know also, I don't know if Vogue Squared is also in your area.
He's, I would say he's about an hour south of me. He lives in Ann Arbor, right? So he's in a better, I would say his local area of thrifting is better. I have a couple of routes that I will like go on within half an hour. And then once or twice a week, I'll try to branch out to like an hour or two, either down towards Clarkston, Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids. It kind of depends on where I'm at sourcing as far as like what I've got already that week, how many items I have to list, and how much I want to spend. If I'm trying to get like the most bang for my buck, like I just need bulk because I haven't listed as much as I should, I will either go to Grand Rapids to the bins, or there's actually a smaller outlet in Flint. It's not that great, but it's kind of like right in between one of my normal routes, so I'll stop there. But if my listing has been pretty solid and sales are going well, then I will go down towards Royal Oak or Clarkston, just places that they charge more, but you're going to get better stuff. Because I've been working on not only building up my inventory, but like having a higher average sale price. So, you go down towards Royal Oak and you can walk into a mom and pop thrift store and buy a pair of Gucci pumps. So basically, in short, I would say like have one or two routes that you can get down really quick and go on, do those a couple times a week, and then take one like gamble trip and go somewhere new, because it's always fun picking over like a brand new thrift store. So that's what I try to do.
This is an important topic that I just want to touch on for just a second. Whatever category you sell in, there needs to be huge home runs. Otherwise, it's tough to be in that category, because Reseller Network is saying in the chat, what percentage do you write off as not selling? I think most of us, at least when we're first starting, we assume 100% of stuff is going to sell. People don't put into their business model that 10 or 15% of their items will never sell. So But they also don't put into their business model that they're going to have massive home runs that kill it. So I think it's important if you guys want to look at the Low Key Husky, which is a store I share on YouTube and Instagram. There are items in there that are $500 profit, $200 profit that I don't find very often, but I need those huge profits to cover the items that may potentially never sell. Like maybe I have a J. Crew pencil skirt because I was excited about selling women's clothing, and there's actually 2,500 of them selling, and they're all $2 free shipping. That may never sell, but now it may make sense if you want to actually write off a percentage of your items as never selling. And then one more point is the Hustle Bee travels state to state to keep his average selling price close to $100. It's not easy to do that. Like within one state, finding all $100 average sale price items would be extremely challenging. And you could also, I know one other reseller that has $100 average sale price with 100% online arbitrage, which is like being a stockbroker and having all these screens up and shopping on every single website ever. So that's a thing that you guys could do, searching all the high-end premium expensive stuff. And a basic rule for retail arbitrage is 75 to 90% off. You're relatively safe in a clearance area or a good brand. And it depends. If you get a really, really hot brand, let's say Patagonia or something, you don't need to get it 75 to 90% off because it'll sell for 80 to 90% often of MSRP on eBay. So make sure you do your research, and getting your average sale price high, like can sometimes spend 70 hours a week sourcing. Like if you go to one thrift store, don't complain that you're not finding high average sale price items. You probably won't. You have to be okay with going into a store and leaving with nothing, in my opinion. So we have another question here. Let's see. I lost it. Let's answer this question, or someone can take this. Do you guys ship direct or use the global shipping program?
So when we were at eBay Open, they told us that 58% of eBay's business is actually international. So you definitely should be using GSP, or you can ship it yourself. So I've done both, and eBay recommends that if your item is between like 1 to 4 pounds or is under, I think they said like $70, you should just ship it yourself because it's cheaper for the customer and it's just easier for them. They're more likely to buy it. But if your item's over $100 or over the 4 pounds, then you would use GSP. So if you're not comfortable with certain countries, you can always exclude certain countries on the paper. You could say like, I'm just comfortable shipping to Canada, the UK, Australia, if you're worried about a language barrier. But I mean, I have mine set to worldwide. I've never had an issue with it. I did have GSP lose a package once, but they immediately reimbursed the buyer and credited me. So it wasn't a big deal. But I think if you're not doing GSP, you're just hurting yourself because 58% of the sales are coming from outside of the country.
Yep, I totally agree on that one. 30% of my sales are GSP. And
wow.
Yeah, so and I ship to Kentucky, so it's the cheapest actually. So that's one of the main reasons why I do free shipping on my end, because for the GSP buyer, international buyer, all they're gonna see is the shipping after the because I'm doing free shipping locally already. So it's really very attractive to them, and that's what Gwen said it that eBay will actually refund you if they lose it. And I've shipped a lot of international stuff before manually. It's just a process of filling up the forms and everything like that. If you're only selling 1 or 2 items a day, yes, that might be. But when you're starting to sell like 3 or 4 to 5 items a day, it could take a lot. And it's a lot of it is declaration too. They want you to declare it as a gift. When a gift gets lost or stolen, a lot of times people undervalue it, so you're not really gonna get your money back. So yeah, anything really valuable, I just GSP is just easier, all in all.
And also, you really shouldn't declare it as a gift anyway because it's technically illegal.
Yep.
So you have to put what it's worth on there, because if they incur charges, that's on them. I mean, they know when they're ordering that they're going to have charges that they have to pay. And if somebody's asking you to put it as a gift, or if they email you through eBay, like I would be totally skeptical about doing that, because technically you're breaking the law. So the other thing is also, there's no seasonality when you're opening yourself up to GSP, because there's different seasons around the world. So you could be selling swimsuits in the middle of winter here for us, but in Australia, they need them. So, you know, you just have to remember that when you're putting stuff up there, you don't really have to worry about, well, I got to save all of this for next summer, because in a different part of the world, it's going to be that season. And make your listings super user-friendly, like easy to translate, because most of the people that are seeing them are going to be copying it into some sort of translator, or on their site, it's going to translate it. And if you have like a lot of arbitrary language that, you know, is just kind of like slang terms or flowery language that doesn't really mean anything, like, you know, you just want to put the facts. Just what's the size? If you even want to go so far as to like put it in metric, that would be great, because the whole world uses metric except for us. So things like that are really helpful for the buyer. And that's what eBay was recommending to us when when I was at the global workshop. So it's really easy. And I mean, it's not going to hurt you. If you do GSP, at least to start, there's no risk for you.
I also want to say that I charge for shipping. And since I switched to charging slightly more for shipping and lowering my actual item costs, I have increased the international shipping orders I have, because they're not paying double shipping, in my opinion. They're not paying, because if people who have free shipping, they build their shipping cost into the price. So, you know, $20 free shipping is really, let's say $15 plus $5 shipping. And if I do 15 ship direct, I'm going to stand out over someone that's $20 because it's cheaper. And then they're saving the duties. If I'm not the duties, the global shipping charge, because I think there's an additional charge that's built into that when eBay ships it for you. But I also just want to point out, if you get a negative feedback because of excessive shipping charges from GSP, that's very normal. Like if you look at the big sellers, half of their negative feedback is just from people paying the full customs prices. But that's just part of the game. It's unfortunate that sometimes your country will tax you a lot. But let's go with Joel. Do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to say something.
Okay.
Talking about the global shipping program and what Gwen said about the over 4 pounds and under 4 pounds. We're coming up on Q4, and I sell the most of I love to sell toys. So most of my toys in Q4 go international through GSP at Christmas time, and they don't even care. Like I have 10 pound toys. Every single one of my over 4 pound toys over the last 2 or 3 years go international through GSP. And if you're not, wow. I'm just recommending, if you don't do GSP at Christmas time and you sell toys or heavier items, to start selling with the GSP program, because especially during Q4, they will pay.
I have both, and no one ever picks GSP. They always pick the ship direct.
I have both too. And I am actually surprised at how much goes GSP. I think it's because of I think it's because of eBay's protection plan.
I think the way it works is because eBay, I mean, it doesn't hurt the seller at all. I think GSP is better, but they upsell because it's consolidated shipping. So like say you're shipping everything to, I don't know, one country. Everybody, I think from that day, it goes on that same pallet. So they say eBay saves a lot and you save a lot as the seller.
Yeah.
But the other end, they maybe flip the bill. I mean, only eBay knows, but.
Well, several times I've had international sales where they haven't been delivered, and it's been through GSP, and eBay has refunded me as the seller and the buyer. So I'm wondering if that's why some buyers choose GSP as well, because they're protected just as much as we are. And 9 times out of 10, those items ended up showing up a week or two later.
I want to make one more point, which is I think everyone does a lot more international shipping than they think, because we're shipping to forwarding companies also. that are doing
Yes.
this. Like you ship it to Florida or Oregon or Portland or something where there's a weird address with a reference number in the title in the name. And that's a shipping forwarding company. So that's going international as well. So I think it's important to realize how much of our stuff is going international. So in that case, extra photos and a more accurate description is going to make the customer more happy. And I still am very lucky. I've never had to have something returned from a different country. But I can see how that may become an issue if you ship a lot of stuff and you're not describing things properly or not taking enough photos. All right, guys. Well, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I appreciate it. We're right up there on the hour. If you guys have any questions, also, you have the ability to raise your hand in the chat if you guys would like. But why don't we call it a night for this week? Next week, we're going to start the call with adding in our goals, and then we'll move on to a topic that we will plan that's a little bit more formal. But everyone join the Reseller Fam on Facebook, and thank you, everybody. We are going to end the call now, but if you want to stay on and listen to where we can find people, that will be great. Let's start with Noelle. Where can people find you online?
Sorry, I was muted. I share an Instagram with my sister called the Lister Sisters. And I think that's it. Oh, and in the Reseller Fam Facebook group too. We try to get on there and talk to everybody.
Sounds good. Gwen?
I am online on Instagram as Sam Loves Suzy, and it's SUZY. I'll drop it in the chat. I also am on Poshmark with 2 different stores. One Sam Loves Suzy, one is SG Trahan 13, and then eBay. So.
All right, Joel. Did I lose you? Oh, you're on mute. Let me unmute you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm here. You can find me right here. I'm the other half of the Lister Sisters. Some
Sounds
people
good.
call me Joel. Some people call me Helene. You can also find me on Facebook. And that's about it.
Sounds good. Ashley?
On Instagram, I'm Who's Your Mom Thrift, and obviously I'm in the Facebook group with Reseller Fam, and that's about it. I don't have time for too much social media. I have little ones running around, taking up all of my time.
Sounds good. Ken? Wait, can't hear
City
you.
sourcing too.
Oh, where can we find you?
You can find me in your city sourcing.
That's right. Lexi?
Oh, sorry. I muted myself. I didn't know you unmuted me.
No
I am
worries.
Thrifty Cali Girl on Instagram, and you'll see a lot of me in the Facebook group.
How about you, Frank?
Nowhere yet. I mean, I'm on Instagram and YouTube, but I plan on relaunching both of those, doing like a business Instagram thing. So
Sounds good. And guys, I actually recommend for most people that you don't use social media overall, maybe a little bit, but not too much. Like try to keep it within reason. Instagram should not be your life. I'm guilty of that a little bit sometimes. Mo, where can people find you?
Reseller Niche on YouTube, Mo Fremont on Facebook, and it's actually Niche Reseller on Instagram.
Also, guys, Mo has a podcast called Reseller Niche Podcast. Is very cool. Check it out. And if you want to reach out to him on social, that's good as well. How about you, Jodine? Where can people find you?
It's the Reseller Fam.
Awesome. She's in the group as well. Nicholas, where can people find you?
I've just been telling people, go to mylinkfarm.com. You'll find all my social media there.
My link farm sounds good.
Yeah.
Mike?
On YouTube is Maestro Vintage. That's VTG. And on Instagram, it's Maestro_BTG.
Okay. I think that's everyone. I unmuted everyone. Let's just all say goodbye. And thanks everyone for coming. That was really fun. Thanks for doing
It was fun.
doing this with us.